Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Behavior here, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Just My Opinion. I really do appreciate it. And with this episode right here, again, we are talking the Suicide Squad, but this time it is a full spoilery review. I'm going to spoil this thing up, down, left, right, in, and out as if you've already seen the film. So you have been warned. You can go check out my non-spoilery review, which I do have up on my channel right now. You can go check that out if you haven't seen the film. But if you if you have seen the film, stay tuned. I'm going to get into everything, and if you haven't, go check out this review right here that does not contain any spoilers. Also, guys, it's great that I am not the only person in the building right now. I want to go ahead and bring in my first guest. He's been on my show a number of times, and I enjoy his presence each time. And that is Mr. Elliot with Movie Files. How are you doing, sir? How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Excited to talk some DC, man. This is like we're things are looking good in the DC universe, man. Especially with this film. But I'm excited to be here with you, Brandon.
Yes, sir. And again, thank you so much for being here, sir. I really do appreciate it. I might have to start putting you on the payroll or something like that. But now let's go ahead and get into it as well. And again, guys, if you love what you're seeing in this video, please, you can follow me and Elliot on social media. Our handles are on the screen. Also, all of my information and Elliot's information is down in the description box. And like always, you can head over to my channel tab, and then you see Elliot's channel right there, Movie Files. Make sure you go over there and subscribe to his channel. His non-spoilery review is posted on his channel as well. So make sure you show this gentleman some love too. But man, let's go ahead and get into it, man. The Suicide Squad right here. We had the first film that came out in 2016, which was a dumpster fire. I think it's safe to say I didn't enjoy the film. I don't think you did, but this one right here, I did have some high expectations. With James Gunn directing this film, I thought it was perfect for him. And I'll just go ahead and say off the top, Elliot, that I love this film. I thought it was phenomenal. It is far superior than this film that we got right here. Like I was saying, this is the worst in the dCEU right here to me. I don't want to go as far as saying that this is this new one, this rebooted sequel / retelling, however you want to describe it, is the best in the dCEU. But to me, in my opinion, it is top tier quality DCU entertainment. It's definitely in the top 5. It may be even in the top 3. I don't want to go as far as saying that the film is perfect, but it is up there, and I really did enjoy it. And I'm just so surprised where how much I loved all of these characters in this film that I absolutely knew nothing about. And there's one character too, I may have a little nitpick, and we're going to talk about it, but I'm just surprised I care so much about the Polka-Dot Man or Ratcatcher girl. I was going to this thinking that I was going to say or John Cena, the Peacemaker. I was going to think I was thinking that he was going to be corny and ridiculous and stupid. But he was actually one of my favorite characters in the movie. And let me go ahead and bring up my second guest of the show before I pass to Elliot. And that is Eman with Eman's movie reviews. How are you doing, my brother? How are you doing?
What's going on, brothers? How are y'all?
What's going on, Eman?
We're good, man. We're good. Thank you for being here, man.
Absolutely.
A good day today so far?
Busy.
I got you.
Busy.
I got you, man. Well, I want to respect your time. We're at the very beginning. We're only 4 minutes in. We're just giving our general impressions, and I was still in the middle of mine, just saying how much I love this film. I said that it is far superior than this piece of crap right here.
Can we forget about that?
Okay, I won't bring it up no more. It's not, and I was saying it's not. I don't think it's the best in the dCEU. Definitely top 5, maybe even top 3. I was so surprised with the rat girl, Polka-Dot Man, and I was just talking about how great John Cena was, and just I really did care about the characters in this movie. I felt it had some stakes. It was funny. It wasn't perfect. It was just really, really creative, and just showed what James Gunn can do when he has free reign in the writing seat and behind the camera. And I just gotta go ahead and clap right there, because if DC is using this energy going forward in the rest of their universe, I'm very, very happy for what they have to come. So take notes, listen to James Gunn, and that's just generally how I feel about it. Elliot, I'm passing it to you, man. How did you feel about this film?
Hey, A lot of the stuff you said, I totally agree with you. It was the characters such as Ratcatcher 2 or Ratcatcher 2. It's the Polka-Dot Man and his finding out his dark demons, his mom. Right. It's the group, right? And that's what James Gunn is so great at. It's bringing this dysfunctional family, dysfunctional groups together and making you care for them, right? And I thought he did a great job at that. And you touched on a character that I was actually kind of a little bit nervous about, which was Peacemaker, based on John Cena's latest performance in Fast 9, which I thought he was the worst character in that film. And just a lot of stuff that didn't work for me. But I was looking forward to seeing what Peacemaker had to offer because we got the announcement, which we'll talk about later, about him having his own show. So I'm like, man, James Gunn must have a lot of faith in this character to give him his own spinoff and all that. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by Peacemaker, how much of an asshole he was, but at the same time, fighting for his country by any means necessary. So he's definitely one of my favorite characters. But I do want to touch on something you just mentioned about that 2016 version and kind of tie it into freedom at reign, right? It's a gift and a curse because you see that with taking the reins away from a David Ayer and even with a Zack Snyder. And then for some people, it's like giving the reins to Zack Snyder and some of the characteristics may not be what they've come to love from the comics. So it's a mixture of the two. They have to give these creatives a lane to play in and have a little bit of some confinement and tie into greater universes. But I hope that this is one of many films to come in the future that allows the creators to be creative and have fun and telling these interesting type of wacky stories. This is the stuff I love about DC is we can have a greater universe and we can have these solo films and hopefully we can continue that momentum. So I really enjoyed this film. I had a lot of fun with it.
Right on. Eman, on you.
Yeah, so I mean, I do think that this is easily one of the best that DC has put out. And I think it has to do a lot with what you guys have just talked about. And it's not so much just the freedom, but it's the amount of trust, right? That it's the trust that has to go into the creatives because, you know, as talented as David Ayer is, that I believe he is, he, you know, if we listen to his side of the story, that was not his final product, right? And as a continuing theme and issue within Warner Brothers, it's always the executives that come in, mess with it, change things up, and we finally get to see what it looks like when they don't really meddle as much, when there is new leadership. James Gunn, I think, was probably a bigger name than they've dealt with in the past, or at least with a more proven track record in the comic book space. What he did with Guardians of the Galaxy is exactly what he did with this, except it's rated R. Except now he can go full out with the violence, the blood, the gore, and the mature things. And this was on full display, right? I mean, I think one of the biggest strengths for this film was definitely the comedy and absolutely the characters. What I think I loved the most about it is the fact that, you know, usually the problem with comedy in a lot of these type of movies is the fact that it's not always consistent, but this time it is. You know, the level of absurdity and comedy that you get is exactly all the way through, you know, all the way to the very end of the film. And I think that's important, right? So that way you're not mixing up the tone, you're not messing up and mixing up the different tones. The tone is consistent. The tone, I think, is genuine and authentic for these characters and for this movie. This movie should not be like anything else in the dCEU. You know what I'm saying? The same way Wonder Woman has its own lane, Aquaman has its own lane, Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad should have its own lane. I don't want to see another movie copy what this movie did, because they defined what they are, what their character's about. So the next time I walk into a Suicide Squad sequel, I know what to expect. And I think a lot of that has to do by giving a creative like James Gunn the reins to just create, do what he needs to do. And I think at the end of the day, people are going to be happy with the product.
Right on, man. Well said, gentlemen. Well said. I love it. I love it. So I think it's safe to say we are all in agreement that, you know, we really did enjoy this film. One of the things I loved about it was just the very beginning. It starts off showing Savant. I don't know nothing about this character right here. We all know what's his name? Michael Rooker. It's slipping my mind. Is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, we all know he's James Gunn's homeboy, and I'm just so surprised that he died in the very beginning of the film. Got his hair blown off. You know, he was paddling in the water, and boom. And one of the great things is this thing started off violent. We get to see the consequences, the repercussions of going off mission, you know, early on, just to see how serious or up a creek this Suicide Squad is. And so I did like the intro. It was crazy. It was bonkers. One of the things about the comedy is this guy right here, the detachable kid. I mean, it was just stupid but funny. It's just like, why is this in the movie? But it works. And now I will say I was a bit disappointed that Captain Boomerang died quite early. I thought his power was pretty cool. You know, he had a nice scene. He throwing boomerangs and slicing faces. I know him from in the Flash universe. I was excited. I was going into this movie like, yes, I want to see some Captain Boomerang, but I was disappointed, you know, that he kind of clocked out early or whatever. I like Rick Flag and all that stuff. You know, great intro. Eman, coming to you. Do you have any comment? How you feeling, man? You shaking your head,
man? Listen, I was never a Jay Courtney fan. I'm just not. Like, he is the most vanilla plain Jane actor in the roles thus far. I get that he tries it with this. He tries, you know, but it's just some actors don't have that it factor, and I don't think he has it. Like, I would never want to see a spinoff with him in it. I would never want to see another movie in this realm with him in it. He's got to try something else. I don't know. I when he died, I cheered. I was happy because I was like, yo, we don't have to keep going on with him. I'm fine with that. I'm totally, and maybe it's because he was miscast. Maybe somebody else, you know, should have taken on the role, but I was cool with it. But yeah, I mean, look, that opening scene was hilarious to me. I knew the moment that they cast this many people, everybody was expendable. Everyone was expendable and was just gonna be killed off one way or another. So I was here for it. To be honest, I never thought I would find death this funny, just because of how crazy the situations were with a lot of them. So it worked.
I got you. Elliot, how you feeling about this opening scene, man, or anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, no, it lived up to the hype in regards to, from the jump, they said, do not get too attached to these characters. And it showed you immediately within the first fight. And I love, too, like the perspective of Savant, like kind of you thinking that this might be somewhat of a lead, but you see it all from his perspective and just seeing how chaotic all this was. But what I took away from this scene more so than anything is the true villain of this movie is Amanda Waller, played beautifully by Viola Davis. How this was all part of the plan, and you know she wanted this was planned. This the A team and the B team is coming in behind to infiltrate the situation. So it just goes to show you the depths that she's willing to do. That these characters are truly dispensable in her eyes, and I just love how she sets all this up. And again, seeing Weasel come off the beach, and you know the black guard snitching on him. I just love the whole setup and just putting you in this world where again, like you couldn't. I'm thinking, is Harley Quinn about to die in the first opening minutes? And Red Flag, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. So it does set the stage where, again, it keeps you on the edge of your seat. You don't know what's coming around the corner, who's going to live, who's going to die. And again, Amanda Waller, she is cold-hearted.
Man, I didn't like how they did her at the end. I didn't like that.
Really?
We could save it for later, but I was not a fan. That was one of my bads in my review. Like, not a fan of what they did.
Well, we can say it because I have some comments about Amanda Waller as well. Okay. I don't know. I guess I should save it towards the end. We'll save it towards the end.
Okay.
Right. And I'll go first because I'll just go ahead and say I'm with Elliot where I did enjoy her, and I'll give my specifics as to why at that end because I was going to break down the ending anyway. So that's cool right there. Now, just I don't know. How did y'all feel about Harley Quinn? How do y'all feel about her? I don't want to go first to Tom. I'm gonna go to Eman. How are you feeling about Harley Quinn?
I like Harley Quinn. You know, like, look, clearly James Gunn was like, this was one of my favorite characters from the previous movie. You know, I think WB also knows that they have something solid with Margot Robbie in this role. Whether it has properly been communicated in the movies thus far, that's up for debate. But I do think that there's a lot of potential with her in general, right? It's just about when and where can you use this character in the right hands. I think she worked in this movie exceptionally well, probably better even than, you know, in her own standalone movie, because Harley Quinn, at the end of the day, once you get past the whole Joker relationship thing, and once you get past that, aspect of her life. That's it. It's not that deep. I don't know if it's enough to really keep her character going and to keep riding that ride the way that Warner Brothers wants to ride that ride with her. But when you use her in this complimentary role in the small doses with the jokes here and there, she works because that's the way she started as a character. So I think Margot Robbie is perfect in the role. I enjoyed it. The one thing I didn't really care for too much with Harley Quinn is when it gets way literally animated. And that was later on in the film when they literally get animated with her. I'm kind of like that wasn't even a strong suit in Birds of Prey. Actually, it was because at least she was on drugs. So when you get on drugs, anything is possible. But in this case, it was kind of like that was a little too much. Y'all didn't have to do all that. But outside of that, I enjoyed her. I thought she was cool.
Elliot, what you got?
Yeah, man. I mean, this is as an actress, I would imagine this is pretty to keep her interested in the character. You have David Ayer giving her direction, which was more chaotic, and obviously with the Joker and that whole relationship. Kathy Yen kind of showing her independency and separating from the Joker, and I think this particular iteration of James Gunn has taken this. Is paying attention and giving her all the amalgamations of what we learned from her so far, and obviously giving his own sensibilities to the character. And I thought that this was her best, Harley Quinn performance thus far from the direction of James Gunn. She is she's literally the definition of a wild card. Whether it be in the middle of the heat of the war, she has a bazooka, she's still guns pointed at her, she's still dropping jokes and still, giving it her all. I just love what she brings to the role, and I'm really excited to see, obviously, with her living out of this film, what is the next thing for Harley Quinn? Because like Eman, it can wear on you a bit, right? It's like what else can this character bring to the role? Whether it be Gotham Sirens and her relationship with a Poison Ivy, whether it be a continuation of the Suicide Squad, or literally a film that they've been rumored for years, a Joker and Harley Quinn, just a film on those two. But nonetheless, I thought that James Gunn definitely show why this is one of his favorite characters. I actually really enjoyed, and we'll talk about it later, I actually enjoyed that kind of chaotic, wild scene of her and the flowers and taking out the men left and right. But nonetheless, I thought that, Margot Robbie continues to show why she loves this role, why she's great in the role. And I thought she was my favorite character in the entire film, if I'm being honest. I really enjoy Harley Quinn in this role.
Okay. This is my thing. I'm on the fence with her. I've never really been a Harley Quinn fan of the character. I just don't really find her fascinating. However, I will say that Margot Robbie is a fantastic actress, and she does a good job of portraying the role, as she did in this film too. As you were just saying, Elliot, at the very beginning, as she's running through the barrage of bullets, I was entertained by that. I like the fact that she just pulled out the bazooka and boom, she bowed it. She ready to get into nitty gritty, knee deep, all of that good stuff. And that's cool. And she's quite funny. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when she murdered the general out of nowhere. When they had their intimate moment, they smashed on the table. He's like, hey, I hate America. You hate America. Let's be together. It'll be good for the people. And he made that comment about children, and she just bam and shot him. And that surprised me. I was like, damn, this chick right here is crazy. The great personality in all of that. And so that's cool. I really did enjoy that shock value right there. And also when they're trying to rescue her, she freed herself, and it was just funny to me to where she's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, I can go back in there. You can save me again if you want to. That was funny. I like that. However, what I don't like is, I think what Eman is saying is how they animate her character. I don't, if this has been explained before, then that's my bad. Either you guys or all the DC experts watching this in the comment section, respectfully let me know. I don't know what her abilities or powers are. I don't even know why she's on this team. At the end of the movie, she hopped up on the car, then jumped up on a roof, and I'm like, how are you able to do this? You're not a super soldier. Why are you able to fight so well? And Elliot, I was not in love with the scene to where she eliminated all the soldiers with the javelin, with the flowers. I mean, it was shot well. It looked nice. It looked beautiful. However, it's like one of the guys had a handgun and was running towards her with it instead of just standing still or with his stance and backing up and shooting. I'm just like, you're creating this scene like I guess that this is a new term for me, plot armor or something. Like she's just invincible, and that's just annoying. I mean, you're gonna be able to kill a number of soldiers, but come on, man, I just don't understand why she's able to mow down everybody and she's just invincible, kind of like in Birds of Prey. I hated that scene to where she whooped up a whole police station with a bat or baton. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It wasn't as bad as that, but I had those same vibes in this.
The only reason I think it worked in Birds of Prey is because she got souped up cocaine with all that coke. That was the only reason. I was like, okay, I'll suspend belief.
Right.
And hey, if you high like that, you might be able to take on the whole police force. Right. Gotham Police is terrible, so maybe, but no, I'm totally with you, B. Like when I saw her make that giant leap up on the building, I was like, wait a minute. When did she become an Olympic high jumper?
She's a metahuman. She's a metahuman.
Right. I mean, she does look, she's a gymnast. That's her only real special ability. She is a gymnast from the comics or from the cartoon. But outside of that, like, she ain't no metahuman like that. They amped her up for the movie.
Right. I'll say that I think because I haven't read a lot of the Harley Quinn comics. I've seen her in the DC animated, obviously the Batman show and even the Arkham film that they did with the Suicide Squad a couple years ago. She is definitely a character that I think DC plays with the realm of like there's no limitations to Harley Quinn. She's go toe to toe with the metahumans, and we see that in the different iterations. But I think I don't know too much about the weapon she had. I don't know if that gave her certain abilities because the gentleman Javelin or whatever that character, he said he like gave, it was almost like Thor's hammer, like he was giving her the baton and giving her the powers that may give him his metahuman ability. So I always took it like those flowers and how she was able to do certain things. I took it as that was kind of enhancing her and giving her certain abilities and almost kind of protecting her. Obviously didn't protect him because he died. In the film, but I don't know if that plays into some of the plot because again, a lot of these characters were first time I've ever heard of them, so I don't know if that MacGuffin of a sorts was giving her certain plot armor per se, or giving her certain abilities. We'll maybe James Gunn will come out and say that in the coming days. I
got you, man. If it just wasn't for her and hitting the magical star in Mario World of Brothers, I would be fine, man. I like the personality. It's entertaining. I just never liked it like in the animated show or anything like that. But we got to talk about this brother right here. This dude came through. He came through to me. I loved him. I loved everything about it. The only thing I didn't like was I was like, oh, that stereotype of a black man not being there for his daughter. I was just like, but and then the whole angry black woman thing with Viola Davis and Amanda Waller. I was like, man. But other than that, I thought he was perfect, man. Bloodsport, I absolutely loved it. He was a boss. He was a leader. He was commanding. I loved his whole presence. He was funny. He had even one of the best superhero landings in comic book movies to date. I don't want to say the best, but when that building was falling down and I saw him and he was standing there in front of Peacemaker, I was like, that looked kind of cool. That looked kind of badass. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
So, yeah, Elliot, how you feeling about Bloodsport, man? Idris Elba, how you feeling?
Idris Elba said it 3 years ago. He's a black Superman, and he's playing Bloodsport this time around. But the only thing that was like maybe a little bit like was a minor issue that I have with the character. It was rumored that he was supposed to replace Deadshot and Will Smith originally. And they said he's a different character. He's obviously in the comics, but literally he's almost like identical to Bloodshot. The beats were like exactly the same. The daughter, Amanda Waller, he's a great with weapons. It was literally the same character. So that was like the only thing that was like, if they ever come on screen together, which I hope they do, maybe eventually Will Smith and Idris Elba, it's like you're literally looking at the exact same characters. But taking that aside, I enjoyed the hell out of Bloodsport. I think Idris Elba, he just has, from his Wire days to seeing obviously all his filmography, he has the charm, the charisma. Again, Black Superman. I mean, he just has, you believe the character, you root for the character. I believe the arc that he had, and even the little Sebastian Ratcatcher's rat, even I love that kind of his vulnerability. He was afraid of rats, but he has good in him. All these characters, they're evil, they're bad to a certain extent, but I think they're more so misunderstood than anything. But I really enjoyed the arc that we got to see with him, and we'll talk about it later, but I want to see that round 2 with Peacemaker and Bloodsport. And I wouldn't be surprised if Idris Elba is in one of those episodes, which we'll talk about later. I really, really enjoyed his arc and his abilities, and I would love to see what Superman did he put in the ICU, and I would love to see that continuation because that's fascinating within itself. This man was able to take out Superman, and who Superman was it? Was it Henry Cavill? Is it this black Superman? I want to know what's going on with Mr. Bloodsport. But no, I really enjoyed the character.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that next. But I got it. This is on IMDb right here. This is the trivia page. It just says, like you were saying, Elliot, Idris Elba initially hired to replace Will Smith as Floyd Lawton that shot, but it was later decided that Elba would play a new character, Bloodsport, to allow Smith to return in the future. So that would be super dope as hell. Eman, how you feeling about Bloodsport?
Look, I loved him. I still think he was miscast. I think he should have been Bronze Tiger. Yeah, he should have been Bronze Tiger with his MMA background. Like, it was literally perfect for him to do that. And it was mainly because of exactly what Elliot said. He's pretty much a carbon copy of Deadshot, except, you know, he's like slightly different, but he still works. He's still a fantastic lead for the movie. Like, I mean, I loved his entire arsenal. You know, I'm sitting here trying to figure out where he got all them bullets from, you know, like in everything. I'm like, I don't understand how your weapons work, but they are still cool as ever. I still appreciated all of that. I loved his interaction with Peacemaker. I mean, I thought that was like one of the highlights as well. But yeah, like, I mean, he worked. It was a good role for him to take on. And I think it was probably more surprising that more drama was written into his character than expected, but nevertheless, you know, it worked. So I got no real complaints with him.
Yeah, the acting was great as well. Even though it was a bad exchange, it was a good exchange as far as the performance with his daughter. You know, he was absolutely perfect in this film. And like I was saying, we can talk about that next. I love the interactions that he was having with Peacemaker. I mean, man, when they were infiltrating that army base to get Rick Flag,
that was hilarious.
Yeah, them, you know, what did he say? He shot, and I thought that he missed, but it knocked the radio in the water and shook the dude. I'm like, this is so silly, you know. And then, you know, Peacemaker shot behind him. Oh, you lose non-lethal, exploding bullets. I'm like, it was funny, but it was silly too, because I'm like, okay, this is so convenient. Y'all should have been caught or seen right now, you know, like, but I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? And it was just that's just so interesting that you can kind of have that plot hole right there. Like, wait a minute, you guys should have been caught. But you don't care because the performances are just so well. They're just so good. And I was not, I wasn't saying I was not looking forward to this character, but I was on the fence. But this is perfect, man. I loved it. I was just sitting here watching it, just like loving their banter, going back and forth, just saying, I don't know anything about Peacemaker. This guy looks ridiculous, but so damn cool at the same time. You know, I wouldn't talk no crap to him. You know, I know he'll put me down, and he's so ruthless, and I love he adhered to his code. I mean, I can just tell he believes in peace, but he won't let anything stand in the way. Men, women, or children. Crazy. Eman, how you feel about John Cena as Peacemaker?
No, look, he benefited from James Gunn the most, right? Because James Gunn has experience dealing with the wrestler non-acting types, especially with Dave Bautista. And what made that work so well? Less lines, good writing, but don't overact. And I think that's what hurts John Cena in other films, is the fact that he will overact and sometimes he steps out of his lane. I mean, even in Fast 9, like, he was overacting because the script was not meant for him, in my opinion. It was probably meant for a more dramatic actor, but they wanted to rely on the appearance and stuff. In this movie, they use his appearance. They use a much more simplified version of his acting with really funny lines and script. And that's what works for him for now. Until he develops into a better actor, this is what his lane is, and it works for him. And this was, I mean, I found myself laughing at what he was saying more than what he was doing, you know, throughout this entire film. You know, when he's talking about, like, I use smaller bullets, you know, or just whatever, like little things like that, or the questions when he was in the presentation or the room with Amanda Waller, and he's like, you know, but that's the writing. You know what I'm saying? And it's his delivery and not trying too hard that makes it all work. This is why, again, like I said, in Guardians of the Galaxy, this is why Drax was so funny, because James Gunn knows how to take your strengths, take some good writing, put it together and make it work. So Peacemaker was dope. I hope this is what we get in the spinoff. And I have to say, I'm very disappointed that HBO or whoever even announced the spinoff, because honestly, it makes the whole post-credit scene at the end like pointless. Like once I knew the spinoff was happening, the final shot with him, I was kind of like, whatever. We'll he has a spinoff. It's not going to be a prequel. So that was the only knock, but that's not the film's fault. That's more of the marketing. But other than that, this is a perfect role for John Cena, and I hope he continues.
Gotcha, Elliot.
Yeah, man. John Cena. You can't see this, man. And I was a big wrestler fan growing up, and I kind of exited when he was kind of coming up in his peak. But I think, as Eman just mentioned, I think that James Gunn is definitely the wrestler whisperer, and can bring out the best sensibilities in a Dave Bautista, in a John Cena. And I think so far I've seen a lot of his films, whether it be Trainwreck or the film he was in with Tina Fey and Amy Palmer, and seeing him in the Fast films and in the Blockers. He's good at being this big, overly sized human being and having some quips. And I think that James Gunn really played on that sensibilities. And what I do know about how James Gunn presents Peacemaker, he's exactly as he describes him, a douchebaggery version of Captain America. And he plays that to the T. And as you guys have mentioned, that whole back and forth between him and Bloodsport throughout the film was some of the best moments. Them just going tit for tat. Again, them slicing and dicing those. I mean, my man had a machete and was stabbed that man like 90 times in the chest and just moved on and had the little he selfie. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with this Peacemaker show and see, is he the hero of the story? We're going to see a show about a villain going against a hero. And again, if we see the round 2 with Bloodsport, but you said it, Brandon, that you weren't necessarily not looking forward to him. I wasn't looking forward to Peacemaker because I'm like, John Cena is just not that guy for me, but he really did prove himself in this role for me. I think James Gunn, again, finds the best of these actors that aren't necessarily known for actors. And, man, I'm telling you, Peacemaker was delivering on all fronts. I don't think there was one moment that Peacemaker had in the scene that I'm just like, I don't buy that. Like, I really bought into his role. And, I'm really excited to see what they do with him in this TV show.
Same here, man. And I really did like Joel Kinnaman as well. I know they kind of had an interaction as well. I'll say that kind of towards the end, but I just wanted to talk about this character right here too. I just thought about him real quick, of other characters that the Peacemaker ran into or whatever. But like everybody was so great, man, including this guy right here. Like he kind of stole the show for me is Mr. Polka-Dot Man. Wow. I mean, such a stupid, ridiculous power, but it came, and I was proven wrong, man. It came through in so many great ways. I love that character, man. I don't know anything about him, but James Gunn is able to take such a silly character like this and make him useful, make you care about him. I did. The whole bit with his mother talking about, hey, that's your mother, and he just goes crazy. I felt sorry for this guy. I wanted to know more about him, and so Elliot, how you feeling about Mr. Polka-Dot Man and his performance and how he was used in the film?
Yeah, man, this is what I love about DC. Polka-Dot Man, Kite Man, Condiment King. You get all these crazy, obscure, craziest characters. And again, this is what James Gunn's good at. I love the little backstory. Again, I don't know if we'll see, if we know we're playing in the multiverse in DC with the Flash film, if we'll see a Polka-Dot Man make an appearance in the Flash. Maybe we'll see another version of Captain Boomerang and all that stuff. But no, his character was really, really interesting. He wasn't my favorite. He was just kind of like that, what James Gunn is great at, even in Guardians. He's that one character that's just kind of standing in the background. And when the camera pans to him, he's doing something crazy, saying something crazy. And I thought that the performance was there. This actor, who you have on screen now, he's been in quite a few comic book roles. I believe he was on The Flash. He was obviously in The Dark Knight and many other things. But yeah, Polka-Dot Man was a pretty funny character, really weird character. But I had a fun time with him.
Yes, sir. E-Man, you got any feelings about Mr. Polka-Dot Man?
No, I mean, nothing too deep. I mean, it was a fun character. I mean, I feel like James Gunn is kind of pulling on his experience working with Marvel, where you go all the way back to like the 60s, 70s, in the archives to find these obscure characters and just have fun with them. I mean, we see that with the main villain, at the very end of the movie as well. But it's good because it does play on the fact that like a lot of newer audiences are not familiar, which means we have no expectations, which means you can just run wild with them and maybe they work, maybe they don't, doesn't really matter, you know. So Polka-Dot Man was cool. I mean, the running theme with the mother thing, it was okay. Like, you know, it didn't have me cracking up. I did feel bad for him, don't get me wrong. Like, it was like, man, that's a sucky power to have, right? And but at the same time, it was kind of cool how he took a moment to James Gunn took a moment to reflect on the fact that just because you have a superpower doesn't mean that it's actually all good, you know, like it's always going to be a walk in the park. Right. So I did appreciate that level of nuance through this character. But you know, it was okay. Like, it wasn't like, you know, like, oh man, I gotta have a spin-off show or nothing. I was like, okay, that's cool. He served his purpose.
Right,
and,
exactly.
You know,
I think it was really cool, like the setbacks as well. Like, if he doesn't shed his powers, you know, it'll eat him alive. And the look that Idris Elba had on his face, Bloodsport, in the middle of the night when he woke up and went around the corner to do, he's like, what is going on? You know, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't want to piss this guy off. And so I like that. Somebody else that I really did like is this character right here, Ratcatcher. I've never liked rats so much. Oh, that's the wrong picture. I've never liked rats so much before in my life. But she served a purpose. I cared about her. Was her dad Taika Waititi in the movie?
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't catch that the first time. I was like, wait a minute, what has he
been making moves, man? He's been everywhere.
Yeah, man. But this actor right here, man, I liked her. You know, when they were trying to kidnap the Thinker guy, I liked the line he said, "Oh, you're clearly panicked. You may not be the leader of this group or something." And she was like, "Hey, do you want a dozen angry rodents up your ass?" Or whatever. His response was quite surprising. But I like how she kind of stood on her feet right there. And so just another character that I had zero expectations for that came through and surprised the hell out of me. I don't know where all those rats came from, but you know, I liked it. I cared about her, and her power was cool, and it served the purpose. But Emmanuel, how you feeling about her?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can tell that she was designed to be the heart of the movie. She was that sympathetic character. She was the heartbeat, you know, of the film, especially with the little moment with her and Taika and everything with her dad. So it was fine. I mean, you know, again, this character served her purpose. I think she was there to help soften up Idris Elba's Bloodsport character, because obviously he has a daughter. So seeing this other daughter, you know, like, so it was more of like a plot structure within the character that helped this work and do its function. The actress was fine. Again, it was nothing that stood out or popped out to me. It definitely helped the film. It worked, but it wasn't anything that was kind of like if they took her out, I don't think this movie would have lost too much. It just would have lost the dramatic, heart-filled moments. Outside of that, it just would have stayed an action comedy. But because there's a little drama, it's a little bit more balanced. So I appreciated that level of balance and not just straight up slapstick comedy and, you know, bombs and explosions and stuff. So I like what she brought to the table as a character.
And I like the way that infused that with Bloodsport as well. You know, he had a phobia of rats. So it was just another way to bring the characters and the story together, you know, instead of it just being an extra thing you know, you want to have everything connected as much as possible. And they had their lines of dialogue at the end with him saying, she was staring at him. He's like, what's good? He's like, you know, why are you afraid of rats? And he finally opened up, you know, because my dad was an asshole. He put me in a crate with hungry rats for 24 hours. That effing sucks. I would be afraid of rats too. But Elliot, how you feeling about Ratcatcher, man? How you feeling?
Yeah, no, it's you know, a common theme, and why one of the things I love about DC is all of these characters, good guys, bad guys, they all have mommy and daddy issues. We Bloodsport, he mentioned earlier how his dad was raised him. Same with Peacemaker. We see how Ratcatcher loved her dad, but obviously he was a victim of drug abuse and all that stuff. So we always see that tragedy. We can always connect to that, how people were raised and how they end up turning out, right? So I love that theme that we get with a lot of the tragedy within DC lies within their parentage and their legacy and when they come from. So that was a perfect example with Ratcatcher and showing her abilities, which to me, she's a pretty big part of this film, because without her, she, they don't defeat Starro. All the rats, which is even a bigger metaphor, these tiny, disgusting, creatures, these things that we all hate, but how they end up, how she relies on this, right? She relies on these rats. That's her family. All these rats are connected to her. And I love how kind of metaphorically speaking, these rats symbolize a Suicide Squad. They're, people that have been discounted, forgotten about, throw them away, disposable type of creatures in their own self. But at the end of the day, they save the day. The rats save the day. The Suicide Squad saves the day. And it's all due to the rats. So right. I really do like how they used her, how they implemented her in the story and kind of what she stands for and symbolizes in this kind of group of people that are kind of discounted and forgotten about, and how that all ties together. So I really enjoyed this. I've never seen her before. I was really, I felt like Eman said, she's the humanity of the story, the character that you feel the sympathy for, the connection, obviously, like you guys made with Bloodsport, and he kind of sees his daughter in her and wants to kind of be a father figure of a sort. So I was really impressed by Ratcatcher too.
Yeah, man. And just the story of how because if I see one rat, I'm jumping up on the table,
I'm
scared.
Out. Yeah, man.
not let alone a whole fleet of them. But these rats kept her warm, man. They didn't have anything, and the rat came and saved the day and kept them warm. And so that's just that's pretty cool right there as well. Now, you mentioned Starro. We definitely gonna talk about Starro, but before we do, we gotta talk about Sylvester Stallone as King Shark right here. I enjoyed this character. I was going to this thinking this is going to be just this versions of the Suicide Squad. Excuse me, Killer Croc from the first film or whatever. Just the big monster that goes around eating and terrorizing people. I thought the voice actor Sylvester Stallone did a great job. Only thing I really didn't enjoy about it is it was just a few times it just didn't look photorealistic, but that really didn't bug me. For the most part, I did like it. Now my only complaint is, I'm sorry, excuse me. I had a piece of lint and it was just bothering me. But my only issue was, how strong is this character? When he was about to eat the Ratcatcher, I swear, Bloodsport shot him with about 12 slugs, a big ass shotgun, center mass, and he just kept coming. Towards the end of the movie, he fell. Well, we can talk about the ending, because here's the ending of the movie we're going to start talking about. Killer Shark fell off the building, survived. Then they start emptying magazines on him with their AR-15s and all of that, assault rifles, machine guns, whatever. He's still surviving. And then the whole building fell on top of him too. And he still survived. I'm like,
but didn't he get cut up by them piranhas?
Yes. And the piranhas as well. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, how he's impenetrable. He got Superman skin. He was funny, and I like the brutality of him ripping that soldier apart. Kind of also towards the end right here, I was okay. They infiltrated the facility, and then it started raining, and the whole outside just turned to white. That was kind of weird to me. I don't really understand that, but it was badass when he ripped the soldier apart, King Shark. But other than me just not understanding how strong he is, how powerful he is, I didn't know. But Elliot, how you feeling about King Shark in this film?
Yeah, King Shark. To me, going back to the Guardians type of comparison, he was the Drax of the group for me. He was the dumb one. He was the stupid one. And honestly, that kind of it ran its course for me. I'm not the biggest fan of like straight up dumb characters. It kind of just wears thin for me. So after a while, I was just like, okay, here's another King Shark joke. And I actually prefer the more serious version of King Shark, which I was hoping that they took that route when he picked up the Ratcatcher. I wish they would have played more to maybe as the film went on, he starts to open up and starts to get a little bit more vulnerable versus just immediately being num and just stupid. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of stupid characters sometimes. But nonetheless, What I do know about his abilities, I think whenever he's surrounded around water, his power set gets stronger. So I think that's why he was able to survive those drops and those shots and all that, because he was, it was raining outside. And also I think, like you mentioned, right, he has like invulnerable skin. And I think like part of his skill set is like, it's very hard to take out King Shark. Even Amanda says he's your most powerful person on your group is King Shark. So you want to have him around. So I think that kind of might explain some of his plot armor per se. But like I said, I just wasn't I love Sylvester Stallone, but you know, I don't like dumb characters. It was just too stupid and too dumb for me. And I just wanted more of the menacing King Shark. And this is the one thing I'll say about the Flash show. They actually, I like that version of King Shark and the Flash. And this version was just too kiddie for me. It was like a toy selling type of character.
Eman.
I mean, first of all, the best iteration of King Shark is in the Harley Quinn show. That right there is hilarious. Highly recommended to watch by all people. So you go watch the Harley Quinn show on HBO Max, and that's where you get a good version of King Shark. It was actually because of that King Shark that made me excited for this version of King Shark. So I was kind of like, okay.
Eman, hold on. Turn something happened with your mic. It started popping all of a sudden.
All right, hold on. Let me. How's this?
Better. Okay, it's not
better.
Popping
okay, I just had to reduce the volume. Maybe it was too high.
No worries.
Okay,
my fault.
No, all good. All good. Yes. So it was because of the Harley Quinn show version of King Shark that got me interested in this version, because I thought they were going to kind of lean into the comedy. And you know, I totally understand Elliot's point about like the dumb characters. They don't bother me as much, but the thing is with the dumb characters, I need them in smaller doses. I thought they gave King Shark too many lines in this part, and I was kind of like, yeah, it is starting to wear on me. Yes, it has its funny moments, but man, if you had just trimmed a couple of them, I think it would have worked a little bit better. But I'm not terribly mad at it. I liked him. He was funny. He got a lot of good laughs out of me. So he served his role. And yeah, I mean, you know, Brandon, I know you were talking about like his strength and stuff. For me, I kind of looked at it as like, okay, he's a mythical creature, probably in the same vein as Aquaman and, you know, all the Atlanteans. So I kind of looked at it from that perspective. Like when Aquaman is in water, he's stronger, you know? So I don't know. Maybe that's it, but it worked for me.
I got you. I got you. Can y'all still hear me? You hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. My sound is doing something weird, but all right. That's what's up. That's what's up, y'all. And so we are at the end, and we got to talk about this right here, Starro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about it. It's just a giant ass starfish. I like when they were getting the briefing at the very beginning of the film. First I got to throw in there just the funny dialogue of comedy from Ratcatcher, like, hey, do y'all still use that overhead projector? That was quite funny. But what is his name? Peacemaker was like, starfish, that's like code name for butthole or whatever, or something like that. And so you know, that was funny. But I don't, do y'all, are you familiar with Starro, this character right here? I liked him. I like the story. I like how they introduced it. I like how the revelation of, you know, it being in space, and it was actually American astronauts that brought him in, which is stupid. And you know, that's just it. The stereotype typical of America is like, okay, hey, we want to experiment, but not on our soil. Let's do it over here. You have this relationship with the government. You know, there's a coup. The new guys come in. It's like, damn, we can't have our hands on this. And so I liked all of that there. I thought it was fascinating. You know, this was gross and cool all at the same time. And I loved it for the most part. But yeah, Eman, how you feeling about Starro?
I liked it. I mean, this is a very, very old school character in the DC comics. So it was actually pretty cool to see them use it, you know, to this level. But like I said, this is kind of James Gunn borrowing from Marvel, going all the way back in the archives to pull up these characters and to use them. And you know, it was cool. Like, it, to me, one of the biggest issues in a lot of the DC movies was a failed third act, you know, but because because of Starro, because it actually added way bigger stakes than before. I thought it made the climax of this movie 10 times better. And you know, it made it like a for real world ending threat. Because if Starro wins, that's it. Like, ain't no real fighting him if he controls everybody's mind. So I like where they went with it. And I like the fact that they included him in general, because he's always been a problem, at least, you know, way back in the day.
Right. I don't know nothing about him. I have a little bit right here. Starro, also known as Starro the Conqueror, is a fictional supervillain that appears in comic books published. Okay, we all know that. Starro is the first villain to face the original Justice League of America. I didn't know that, though. I really didn't. And, you know, well, I'm not going to read 3 paragraphs, but it's a Starro is an alien amalgamation conqueror with both a humanoid central mind commanding spores that resemble either a giant or small terrain of starfish. And so, guys, you can go check that out on Wikipedia if you want to. But Elliot, how are you feeling about Starro and how he came through at the end?
So this is where my flaws kind of come in with the film, and this is collectively Starro, the president, and in general, the villains to me were just, that was like the whole story. Everything's compelling, everything's unique and original in a sense, but those villains to me were just very kind of lackluster. And if I'm being honest, this kind of ties back to my criticism with the film. It was very similar to the 2016 Suicide Squad. We got this thing that can take over minds and take over people, as Enchantress did in 2016. And a lot of this film is actually very similar to 2016's film, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, I don't know. I just didn't find. I'm not a big fan of cloud things, big giant things that can take over people's minds. That, like, to me, again, that plot is very unoriginal. That plot is very used a bazillion times. So I wished, again, when it comes to these 2 iterations, we got Suicide Squad, I want to see a more of a humanoid, a person that can go toe-to-toe with these characters, and not like, again, a Enchantress and her supernatural abilities, or Starro and the mind control and all that stuff. I just wish it was maybe a little bit more of a ground level threat. But again, I wasn't too overly impressed by Starro, if I'm being honest. Visually, it was cool. The idea of it, like Eman said, it's wacky. It's a weird character. It's like you guys just mentioned, it's the original Justice League foil, one of the first villains they ever fought. But outside of that, it was just like kind of like, again, it's like the same thing in 2016. This mind controlling thing that they have to defeat. It was just unoriginal for me.
I got you. I mean, to me, it was tangible, and that's something that I really did like. You know, I do feel you on the cloud thing. I mean, but I don't know this. I think that because he was locked up for 30 years and came from space and all that, I don't know. I kind of feel like they earned it, but you know, it is all good. It is all good. But that's, I mean, it was cool. I like to save the day. That's the end of the film. But we got to talk about this first mid-credit scene right here. And I have to say, it's possibly the smartest person in the whole film, you know, and that has to come to Weasel. Because he's like, yeah, he played dead, man. He's like, this is bullshit. I don't want to fight these people. I want to do this. And he played dead, and he popped up at the very end, man, and just snuck off the beach. Other than that, I hated this character.
We know he played dead?
Huh?
Do we know he played dead?
Oh, no, I'm making a joke.
Okay. I was about to say, because he did play dead.
I'm making a joke. I
don't care about this character.
I didn't. It was just gross. When he was gone at the very beginning of the film, I was like, great, we don't have to see him come back anymore.
Right.
I just didn't like looking at him. I'm just like,
this is
not, very
not
gross.
eye appealing.
But I did laugh when I saw him pop up. I was like, this guy's a genius. I don't think they did it on purpose. I don't think he actually played dead on purpose. Yeah. I think they're just being silly. But Eman, if you want to use, you spoke already. If you want to say some more, go ahead, man.
I don't want to talk about him no more. I'm good. Like he's weird looking, ugly. I'm straight on all of that. Like I do not need to see more of him. But thank you. But the one thing I did want to talk about was Amanda Waller. You know, because I agree.
Hold on. Before we go to Elliot, did you have any more to say?
Go ahead.
Weasel, I mean, just like the film gave us, he was not in it a lot, and I don't think we were supposed to care about the character that much. It was just kind of a punchline more than anything.
Right.
Got you.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. Let me know about Amanda Waller.
Look, my main thing is, I get it that she's supposed to be this this villain, but she's not really a villain. Like she's trying to do the right thing. She just goes about it in very devious, underhanded ways because it's, the means justify the ends type of motto with her. The only thing I didn't like was just the fact that her employees turned on her, and I'm sitting here thinking like the Amanda Waller from the comics, from the animated show, from anything. First of all, all y'all dead. Yeah. All y'all are dead. Like, ain't gonna be no, company picnic after this. Like, y'all dead. Straight up. She don't deal with that. So I just felt like it kind of undermined her character. Yes, it worked for the story. Yes, I get that it, needed to happen in some way, but I just don't like the way they went about it. It felt kind of cheap. I don't know. Like now, should I fear Amanda Waller or just hit her upside her head next time?
You got a good point. I can't lie. You got a good point. I can't lie. Ellie, you got anything on that?
Yeah, it is it's a thing that a lot of I don't know why it's coming to mind, but low key, for example, when we saw B Hunter 15, formidable, fighter, but she gets knocked out in the fight when they go against the timekeepers. I think sometimes the writers write themselves in a corner, like, we don't know what else to do. How is Amanda Waller going to get off her soapbox? We'll have one of her employees hit her over the head and get her out of commission. Now, I do hope, based on the look that Amanda gave them at the end of the movie, again, going back to theories of Peacemaker, I hope, because I know that if I'm not mistaken, John and James Gunn's girlfriend, who was in the movie, they're in Peacemaker. So I'm hoping that Amanda Waller is going to have her payback in some way, how, that she's going to get her revenge. But yeah, it was kind of it was convenient that they just were able to knock her out and get her off of her, like I said, her soapbox. So that was a little bit unfortunate for the character, because again, she's 10 steps ahead of everyone in the room. And for them to be able to easily take her out is kind of just like, oh, how fearing can we be of this character? But again, I'm hoping that she has contingencies to get her revenge on those employees that did her wrong.
I got you. I ain't mad at that. I'm not mad at that. And so y'all have any comments about the final credit scene? I know we kind of briefly talked about it earlier with the Peacemaker, but he's awake. He's getting this TV series. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. This article came out July 20th, so about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I'm because of him. I'm excited. So y'all got any comments on that?
I don't know how the hell he survived that villain falling on him and a bullet to the neck, but hey, it's comic books. We got a big star that I guess, just suspend disbelief that he survived. And to Eman's point, I think what it was supposed to happen, again, not to tie back to Marvel, about like how Black Widow was supposed to come out before Falcon and Winter Soldier, for we could know who that character was at the end. This was just kind of the same thing. Suicide Squad was supposed to come out first, and then we probably were going to get the announcement of Peacemaker, but obviously things kind of, they were shooting the show, and people were like, why is John Cena shooting the show? So they kind of had to jump in front of that theory train and jump in front of the leaks that they had to put it out there. But besides the way that all kind of played out, I'm really looking forward to the show. Again, I don't know too much about Peacemaker and his rogues gallery. Who is his main foil? Is he a Batman villain? Is he a Superman villain? Is he just a obscure villain within the DC universe that he kind of plays in all realms? But I want to see that round 2. I want to see Peacemaker versus Bloodsport. Idris Elba has played on television as The Wire and other TV shows, so he's not too big of a star to be on a TV show, especially if HBO does the MCU thing where they're going to put a big budget in the show. So I think I would love to see a cameo by him. I would love to see Amanda Waller. She sent her employees to get him, so I would imagine she's still going to give command. So I would hope that she makes some type of appearance in the show. But again, what is Peacemaker all about? Is he going to be the main guy? Are we going to be rooting for him? Are we going to be looking at a show from the perspective of a villain going against a good guy? It'll all be interesting. But based on this film, it gets me excited to see what this show has to offer next year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. This Cinema Blend article said it's expected to premiere in January, so we don't gotta wait that long. This 8-episode series follows the origin story of the man who believes peace at all costs, so no matter how many people have to be killed. So that's cool. It's an origin story. James Gunn wrote every episode of Peacemaker, and he'll direct 5, including the premiere. Good. I did not know that. That's perfect. That's perfect. They just finished shooting on July 12th, so I took 131 days, so that's about 4.5 months. Am I if I'm doing that correctly? The other Peacemaker episodes will be directed by Jody Hill, Brad Anderson, and Rosemary Rodriguez. I don't know who they are. And that's talking about the cast. and James Gunn started writing the Peacemaker for fun during lockdown, and then they agreed to turn into a real thing. So I guess something positive came out of the pandemic or whatever, you know. And so that's what's up right there. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, like I said at the very beginning of this video, is that Warner Brothers, DC, whoever, if y'all listening, keep this same energy that y'all had with James Gunn and this Suicide Squad for the rest of your films. You know, let your talent do what they need to do, man, so we can get good entertainment like this. Because I really did enjoy it. And so that will bring us to the end of this spoilery review. Elliot, Eman, did y'all have any final words about the film that y'all want to talk about?
No, again, like you said, Brad, I really do hope that DC takes this idea of what Warner Brothers has always been known for, letting their directors be creative and having their own vision come to fruition. So I hope that this is, with Walter Hamada, a very shaky start to get his whole reign in front of DC, and then Warner Brothers was very shaky, but I hope that things start to even out. Black Adam, Shazam 2, The Batman, Wonder Woman 3, so on and so forth. I hope we get more of this creative type of endeavors from these creatives. And James Gunn, he said he's going to be coming back to do some more DC stuff. So Suicide Squad 3, Green Lantern, Teen Titans, Justice League of Society, whatever they want. They literally are giving him the keys to the castle. So, DC definitely took advantage of what MCU letting him go. That was the bad mistake on the MCU's part, but we'll see what the future holds for DC. But I'm glad that this is a W for the DC fans out there, and me being one of them.
Right on. And go ahead, E-Man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm hoping similar. I mean, I hope they don't give him the full keys of the kingdom. I hope they give him the keys to the kingdom for this franchise, right? Like, do what you want to do with this franchise, but let's not go down the same path of, hey, here's the entire dCEU. Right. Do whatever you want, because that's when things get a little chaotic. Yeah. But in terms of having full reign on these characters and so on and so forth, I'm cool with that. I think that is actually the formula that does work, which is give the directors their reign within their series, within those characters. But at the same time, we also have to see how is this all going to play out, because this movie was a complete standalone. Like, it has nothing to do with the previous Suicide Squad. And I'm just kind of wondering, are y'all going to continue doing the standalone stuff, or is this going to play into the multiverse and stuff? And how's that going to impact general audiences? Our audience is going to get confused with all of this stuff. Comic book fans, we've been juggling multiverses since the 80s. So that's not even a big deal for us. But hopefully, the execs at WB, they've been communicating that they have a plan. So if this is the first sign of whatever their plan is, then sign me up. I'm all on board for it. This has given me some more confidence in what DC can be somewhere down the road. So this is a very good start, and I hope they continue.
All right. Well, guys, again, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Just My Opinion. I really do appreciate it. And also just subscribe to the channel, and these gentlemen as well. You can follow us on social media. Everybody's information is down in the description box. And like always, you can head over to my channel tab and you have the whole fam right there. But guys, again, I just want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's Elliot and Eman, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.